This presentation will review the Worcester cold storage warehouse fire that took the lives of 6 firefighters and discuss how rescue efforts could have been executed differently. As it's difficult to critique the actions of these trained professionals and experienced firefighters, we must consider alternative solutions and contingencies for the ever-changing emergency rescue environment. Based on the lectures, readings, and education provided by Lieutenant Yee in our rescue practices class, I will address what could have been done differently or what was possibly overlooked at this incident. On December 3, 1999, an off-duty police officer reported heavy white smoke rising atop the Worcester cold storage warehouse in Massachusetts. Local Worcester firefighters were familiar with the 1906 building that had been abandoned for over 20 years, but nobody was familiar with the structural layout inside this massive warehouse. The former meatpacking plant was a 6-story building with a bizarre layout of corridors, refrigerated lockers, false exits, and 3 unconventional stairwells. The building did not have any fire escapes or unprotected windows, which restricted any incoming light and made it difficult for firefighters to see the condition of the fire before entering. The exterior of the building was 18 inches of brick and mortar. The interior had highly flammable, thick insulation of cork and petroleum-based foams that significantly contributed to the intensity of the fire. The initial report of the fire came in at 6:13 p.m. When the first company arrived on scene, the incident commander radioed dispatch and requested any available building plans, blueprints, or relevant information, but none was ever found nor existed. A crew from the first company began establishing a water supply to the first and second floor. Another engine crew and rescue crew proceeded up the stairwell to the roof to begin ventilation efforts. Shortly after entry, a neighbor reported that a homeless couple may be living inside. An additional engine crew and rescue crew from the first alarm then entered the building to assist with the search for the homeless couple, starting from the bottom up while other crews started searching from the top down. Some of the firefighters began to express concern about the intensifying fire behavior and requested hose lines to the 3rd floor. Heavy black smoke began to fill the building as the fire escalated to a 3rd alarm. Soon, the firefighters lost visibility and became disoriented due to the dense black smoke. The following timeline is a summary of communications that are related to the rescue process. Some radio traffic and details were omitted as they are not significant to this presentation. 6:46 p.m. 2 of the first alarm rescue crew firefighters searching from top down radioed an emergency that they were lost on the floor below the roof and running out of air. This is victim 1 and 2. 6:47 p.m. Again, they radio requesting help, this time naming the 4th floor as their location. 6:47 p.m. IC does not clearly receive the message and asks for the message to be repeated. 6:47 p.m. Victim 1 and 2 radio. Fire alarm, emergency, emergency. Clear the air. 6:47 p.m. Alert tones are activated. For the next 5 minutes, radio traffic goes back and forth between 2 ICs and victim 1 and 2, trying to figure out which floor they're on and determine which crew is actually calling. 6:52 p.m. Fire has been escalated to a 4th alarm. 6:53 p.m. IC tells victim 1 and 2 to activate their pass devices. 6:53 p.m. 4 additional firefighters are then assigned to search for victim 1 and 2. 6:55 p.m. Victim 1 and 2 confirm pass has been activated. This is the last communication heard from them. 7:03 p.m. 2 of the firefighters just sent in to search for victim 1 and 2 report they are still searching on the 5th floor. 5 minutes later, at 7:08 p.m., those 2 firefighters report they are also lost and running low on air. This is victim 3 and 4. 7:12 p.m., another distress call from victim 3 and 4. 7:12 p.m., IC does not clearly receive the message and asks message to be repeated. 7:14 p.m., victim 3 and 4 again radio they are lost and low in air. At this time, they are presumably with another crew who never made an emergency contact to command. They are victims 5 and 6. 7:15 p.m., victim 3 and 4 radio, "We are done." This is the last communication from them. 7:24 p.m., IC conducts a personal accountability report and concludes 6 firefighters are missing. 7:26 p.m., fire escalated to a 5th alarm and RIC team is established. 7:31 p.m., Millbury Fire Department arrived with a thermal imaging camera to help locate the lost firefighters. 7:48 p.m., a crew reported that the structural integrity of the building was compromised and posing a threat of collapse. 7:53 p.m., a report stated that the thermal imager had stopped working due to the intense heat of the fire. 8:00 p.m., IC ordered all firefighters out of the building and switched from offensive to defensive firefighting. There are 5 areas of this rescue operation that I believe lacked resources and execution. They are pre-incident planning, rescue training, incident personnel, fireground communications, and rescue equipment. Pre-incident planning. A pre-incident fire plan did not exist for the Worcester fire. This multi-step process of gathering information and evaluating strategies would help identify unique or unusual hazard that responders might face. A lot of confusion could have been avoided. Firefighters may have not gotten lost or been better able to communicate their locations. In class, we discussed site surveys, which entails visiting the location of the structure, allowing responders to observe and record important information before an actual incident. Seeing the structure layout would allow firefighters to create diagrams and maps of the facility and to identify where they may encounter unusual rescue challenges. As Lieutenant Yee said, it's essential to do a 6-sided size-up. Like a dice, we must consider even the basement floor. Site surveys provide information that incident commanders can use to develop an effective and safe incident action plan. Rescue training. Creating scenarios to get firefighters familiar with potential challenges and hazards of this location would have been extremely valuable. Training helps us avoid preventable accidents and injuries and creates better situational awareness. Recognizing the size, complexity, and fuel load of this building might suggest that multiple companies be necessary on a fire. Therefore, multiple rescues could be a possibility, so a multi-unit man-down RIC training drill would be very helpful. Had these actions been executed prior to the emergency, maybe they would have performed a faster initial search of the building and quickly confirmed that the homeless couple was not trapped inside. Incident personnel. Incident management systems organize personnel and emergency operations to be conducted safely, efficiently, and effectively. A safety officer was not put into place before firefighters entered the building in Worcester. IMS states that every rescue operation requires an incident safety officer, whose only responsibility is to observe the operation and ensure that it is executed in the safest way possible. A RIC team was not assigned until after the 5th alarm. ICs should establish a RIC and backup RIC on every incident that is potentially IDLH. We must remember that 1 of 8 firefighters on a RIC team have initiated a Mayday call, and that it takes an average of 12 firefighters to rescue 1. Fireground communications. At the Worcester incident, there was clearly communication issues, whether due to mass radio traffic, equipment failure, or infrequent personal accountability reports. The system utilized was not efficient. Effective communications at rescue incidents is an absolute necessity. Rescuers must clearly and frequently report their status with team members, supervising officers, and the IC. Rescuers often operate in areas that are loud and challenging for the effective voice and radio communications. Backup solutions need to be available. Some agencies use hardwire communications. As soon as the first Mayday call happened, all emergency communications should have been designated to one channel. This would have prevented cross-traffic from interrupting the rescue communications. A reliable system of personal accountability reporting needs to always be in place. Tracking the firefighter's name, time of entry, and time of exit is a must. There was never any communication with victim 5 and 6. Rescue equipment. I feel there was important rescue equipment missing from this event. Rescue missions should include reliable equipment. Regular maintenance and care should be performed, recorded, and additional backup tools should be available. All RIC teams should have thermal imaging cameras. It took 6 firefighters to become lost before one was brought to the scene. Retrieval systems for egress is essential. From the start, firefighters should have deployed lifelines of rope or marked exit routes with chalk, spray paint, caution tape, or glow sticks so they could find their way out. Floodlights, spotlights, and portable lights would have been beneficial as well, directing light at access and egress points. Many firefighters were running low on air. Carrying an extra pony bottle of air may have been a solution. Conclusion. It is unfortunate that it sometimes takes a tragedy to identify the challenges and lessons from a particular situation. That is why it's so important for firefighters to always be training and open to alternate solutions. As Lieutenant Yee said, don't train until you get it right, train until you can't get it wrong. Through this incident, I have recognized the dynamic possibilities that can occur in a rescue situation. All scenarios must be considered. The successful execution of a rescue involves a pre-incident plan, incident management systems, appropriate personnel, communication plans, and reliable equipment.